Now, brought to you by Ivory, recommended by more doctors than any other soap. And by Tide, the one that works the hardest to get your clothes the cleanest clean there is.
Hey, Eddie, bring in the dining room. I'll take care of it.
Look at them.
Chocolate-covered curtains. Oh, I'm sorry, lady.
Well, it wasn't your fault, but I'm going to wash them right now. Won't seem like home till I get clean curtains up.
We'll get you new ones. You'll never get them clean.
Tide will. I'll just dump them in here with these other curtains.
Shouldn't you do something special first?
Not with Tide. It's the hardest worker. Tide suds never quit, even with extra dirty things like these. Tide keeps right on cleaning.
Well, that's it, lady. Say, which is the chocolate-covered curtain from before?
You can't tell, can you?
Sure can't. They really come clean, lady. How about that Tide?
It's just like you.
Huh?
A real hard worker.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you mean he'll be home eventually, so there's no news anyway.
Well, if he doesn't show up, why, you can marry me. Have you good father, that baby?
Thank you. What's Smith, please?
Oh, Smith. You mean, yes, Miss
Yes,
Smithgate.
Smith.
Well, I'll tell you, Bill Marceau wants me, well, rather, the Crime Commission unofficially check up on him because it seems as though his wife, a very nice person, claims that he was sent up for a crime he didn't commit. So we're going to try to help the fella. I better go upstairs and check those files, as a matter of fact.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, honey, don't forget the coffee. She suggested it. You haven't got a donut, have you? A piece of dried toast, seasoned crumbs, anything. I don't...
Oh, Willie!
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Lori Ann's up in that room. I always leave her up there when I'm cleaning
Good. In
up.
case like that, I can babysit. Maybe she can help me find what I want.
Yeah, but I'm wanting... Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Betty Jean.
Well, what are you doing?
Well, I'm doing what every good housefrau should do. I'm cleaning up.
Oh, don't say that. I haven't even made a bed.
You sleep late?
No, I just haven't had a chance to get organized yet. I've got a problem, sir.
Well, who hasn't these days?
And I can't seem to get anywhere thinking it over all by myself.
Was something wrong?
Well, not exactly, but I'm afraid if I don't talk to you, I might do or say something wrong.
Well, that sounds kind of serious. How would you like to come over and have a mid-morning coffee break with Willie Bryan and me?
With who?
Willie. Willie Bryan.
Well, sure I won't interrupt your house cleaning.
Not at all. You know I'd love to have you.
I'll be right over as soon as I can get Bud to the playground, okay?
Okay.
Good day.
See you later. Bye.
We'll continue with our story in just a moment.
When Mrs. Jones goes shopping, she has a list, a purse, and not much money. So naturally, she looks for values, just like you. Now, there's a buy, PSI, personal size ivory. Did you know that 4 cakes of PSI cost about the same as 3 cakes of other leading toilet soaps? Like getting an extra cake free. Very thrifty. And have you discovered how wonderfully relaxing an ivory bath can be? Ivory's white, fresh-smelling, makes mild, creamy lather, gentle enough for a baby's skin, and for yours. And it floats. Pure pleasure in your bath. Pure economy, too, like Mrs. Jones. Why don't you start using personal-size ivory? Buy 1, 2, 3, 4 cakes, and save.
Sally? Sally? Ellie, is that you? Yes. Can I come in? Can I come in? Just a minute. Well, finish what you're doing. I just dropped in.
You want to borrow a cup full of sugar. You know where it is.
I didn't come to borrow anything. I remember that you had a date for today.
An appointment.
Yeah, and I remembered that this is the day Viola's off on her picnic.
Yes, she left early.
Oh, I know. I saw her when she went out. She looked real cute in her white shorts. So I thought, well, I'll just drop over and see if there's anything you want me to do. You know, slick up, or if you leave your door open, I can hear your telephone from across the hall.
Oh, Ellie, that's very kind of you, but there isn't anything really. I'm not expecting any phone calls.
My goodness. You certainly are dressed up for your appointment. You look real pretty. Are you going to be gone all day?
No, I don't expect to. I'm sure I'll be back in plenty of time to do any slicking up that there is to do.
You're not going to work today, then?
No, I've taken the day off.
Yeah, I thought you would after I heard you yesterday on the phone making a date with a man who called up twice.
Ellie, that was business.
Oh, a new job, perhaps, huh?
Well, I'm afraid not. Look, Ellie, I still have an awful lot to do, and, you know, there really isn't very much time. So, if you
good, of course. Good. I just dropped in. Well, you have a good time, Sally. Don't forget.
Bye.
Good morning. Are you ready?
Almost. Won't you come in for a minute? I mean, a woman has to think about how she looks, particularly when so much is at stake.
How you look won't mean so much to the DA, Mrs. Smith. It's what you say and how you say it that'll count.
Well, any woman likes to feel that she looks her best.
I know.
Chief Marceau,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that it's likely that the district attorney will give my husband a new trial?
Well, to a very large extent, that depends on you, Mrs. Smith.
On me?
Mm.
But you've always said that everything that I thought or knew was not evidence, that I had no proof.
That's right.
Well, after the way the district attorney tore into me at Manny's trial, he's not likely to believe anything, I think, without proof.
Mrs. Smith, sit down for a minute, will you? A couple of things I want to talk to you about before we go. Now, in the first place, I don't want you to be antagonistic toward the district attorney. Please, remember that when he prosecuted your husband on the basis of the evidence, he was only doing his duty.
Listen, he said some pretty dreadful things about me at that trial. He called me a liar and a perjurer.
I know that. And perhaps you did lie to try to save your husband.
Oh,
But I rather think that it was the arresting officer who accused your husband that lied. Because I know now that he's crooked. And if he did, then the two men who could have established your husband's alibi perjured themselves.
they did. I just know that they did.
All right, now look. I don't want you to expect too much from this visit to the district attorney. As a matter of fact, the only reason I'm taking you to see him is to give him the opportunity to sense that you're telling the truth. Now, if he does, and he agrees to help us investigate, he may arrange for your husband's release for a second trial. Now, that is purely a gamble.
Well, what have I got to lose? Manny's been convicted. He's in prison. I would do anything to get him out of there.
And that is the weakness of your story. The district attorney will assume that any woman who loves her husband would do anything, say anything to try to help him. And your only hope of doing that is to try to persuade him that you're telling the truth.
But I am. I am. He's got to believe me.
All right. Let's go see him.
We'll continue with our story in just a moment.
He can hardly wait till you get 'em out of the pan. Chewy homemade brownies, richer than ever, made the new easy pep milk way, with no baking at all. The secret? The way Double Rich Pet blends like cream. So chocolate pieces and Kraft miniature marshmallows stir easily into a thick, creamy, smooth mixture. After you add the other ingredients, you just chill. That's all. Imagine moist, fudgy, rich brownies like this, even on hot days, because there's no need to turn on the oven. Stir up a batch for your family soon. Remember, only Pet guarantees delicious brownies made this new, easy way with no baking. Look for the recipe right here on the label. No-bake brownies, made with double-rich Pet. Creamiest form of milk you can get.
There, sit down.
All ready? Oh, what's that?
Oh, Willie's working upstairs, and I have a feeling that Lorianne is helping him. Oh, what's wrong?
Jack.
Oh?
Wouldn't you think, after all we've been through, that he would learn enough to be mature enough to accept his responsibility?
Well, I thought he had. He's working very hard, making good, and Mr. Grimsley has plans for him.
That's just it. And do you know what he told me he decided to do this morning? All of a sudden decided? He got some harebrained idea that we're going to go to Bermuda on a vacation.
Oh, Betty Jane.
What's so funny?
The first half of The Edge of Night has been brought to you by Ivory Soap and by New Tide. We'll continue with our story immediately following station identification. Today, the second half of The Edge of Night is brought to you by Nabisco Milk Bone Dog Biscuits and Nabisco Wheat Honeys and Rice Honeys.
Well, come on. What's so funny?
Oh, I'm sorry, you and Jack.
Well, now, listen, Sarah, you've got...
Oh, please, honey, I'm sorry. I know you're being serious, but it really is funny. Now, don't be mad at me. Here, have your iced tea.
Right. But it didn't strike me as funny. Oh, I know what you say is true, that Jack has a good job and he's working hard and Mr. Grimsley's going to give him a promotion, and those are just the reasons.
Well, the reasons for what, exactly?
Number one, we don't have to go on a vacation because almost every weekend we go up to Crystal Lake, but Bermuda. Sarah, do you know how much that would cost? The three of us staying in some expensive hotel? This is the first time since we were married that we've been able to pay off our debts instead of making new ones.
Well, I know that.
For 3 weeks in Bermuda, that would just shoot our budget like crazy.
Honey, a vacation's important, too. Besides, I bet Bud would love it.
Bud's 5 years old. Now, he's having a ball at the playground, making new friends, and he wants to stay here in Monticello with them. Well, I want to stay here, too.
Betty Jean, the trial was pretty rugged on Jack. Maybe he needs this vacation.
Jack's never felt better in his whole life. He says that the trip is for Bud and me. You know, Sarah, I don't want to make a big thing out of this, but that trial was pretty rugged on me, too. I've been nervous and upset and on edge, and, well, I don't want to go away. I just want to stay put. I don't want to fly off someplace.
Honey, I understand now. I don't think it's funny,
Look,
honest.
I know you probably think I'm silly getting upset about...
No, not at all. Look, just as you said, that trial was pretty rugged on you, too. And you have been kind of edgy lately, and maybe Jack's noticed it, too, and would like to take you away.
But I don't want to go.
Look, Betty Jean, you and Jack have had your troubles, but don't get so in the habit of getting upset that you're upset by the little things. I know that when you're edgy, you tend to sort of put things way out of perspective and make mountains out of molehills. You know, before, Willie was just telling me about a woman that he and Mike want to help, a woman whose husband was put in jail unjustly.
No, is it somebody we know?
No. Oh, come on. Don't you know what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah, I guess I do. I see. And I guess you're right. I guess maybe Bermuda is a molehill.
Well, I really don't know, because I haven't been there.
You know what I mean. Come on. You know, you're right. It's very silly to get upset over a little thing if Jack really wants to go.
Why not?
What was that?
Oh, dear. I don't know.
Sarah?
Willie, what is
It's all right. The baby today. I'll put her in the play pass. All right. I hope that wasn't an expensive bath. Why don't she come down here and help you two for a while, huh?
I'll go clean it up.
Well, I'd have picked it up, but just the pieces are kind of small. Oh, sorry. Well, why do you leave a bachelor alone with a wild woman like that?
Mrs. Herman Smith, Mr. Johnson.
How do you do, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I remember you, Mrs. Smith. It was my unpleasant duty to prosecute your husband. Come over here and sit down.
As I told you, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Smith is firmly convinced that her husband is innocent. Now, she believes, and to a degree I concur, that there are certain aspects of this case which, if investigated and re-examined, might prove her husband innocent.
I see.
And she hopes that you will authorize immediately a re-examination of the evidence that convicted him.
Tell us why, Mrs. Smith.
Our story continues after this message.
Recognize these? They belong to your youngsters. Some of the things that keep them on the go from dawn to dusk. No wonder so many mothers serve their families Nabisco wheat honeys for breakfast. Every bite honey-flavored, every serving energy-packed. There's no other cereal like Nabisco wheat honeys. Golden puffs of 100% durum wheat enriched with the flavor, the goodness, the wonderful energy of honey. Even if you drench them with milk, they stay crisp, crunchy, delicious. You don't need any more sugar on this cereal. Nabisco wheat honeys satisfy that hankering for sweets without further sweetening. Wonderful, right from the package. They make a honey of a snack. And for a change, try Nabisco rice honeys. Honey-flavored pops of unpolished rice with all its natural goodness and wholesome nourishment. For delicious taste and quick energy, look for the cereals with a honey of a name. Nabisco wheat honeys, Nabisco rice honeys.
That was Valentine's Day, and you see, Manny he brought me a box of candy as a present.
Mrs. Smith, your husband has a police record. He's been out of jail only a year or so, and he has had a previous conviction.
That's right. But that happened when he was very young. That was before we got married. But he's gone straight since then until he stole some money to save Vi's life. Well, he had a reason for doing that, but he didn't have any reason for doing this.
Oh, a leopard does not change his spots.
We are not talking about a wild animal, Mr. Johnson. We are talking about an innocent man, a good man.
Who was identified by an eyewitness.
Johnson, I believe Mrs. Smith. Sergeant Taylor, who was the arresting officer, has been dismissed from the force for accepting a bribe. Now, it's only logical to assume that for some reason, probably another bribe, he framed her husband.
That's a mere assumption.
He was the investigating officer in the case. Look, Johnson. Taylor knew at the time of the arrest that Smith had an airtight alibi. He also knew that the only way he could break that alibi was to get somebody to testify that they had seen Smith at the scene of the crime. Then he'd have an open and shut case.
Well, Chief, I'm deeply moved. Certainly by your sincerity, Mrs. Smith, and the loss of your husband. Now, if there was any evidence whatsoever of a miscarriage of justice, I would be the first to rectify it. But there is no such evidence. Now, as for this theory of yours about some dishonest police officer being criminally involved, I don't have to remind you, do I, that you're the chief of police, or the acting chief? As such, a crooked cop is your responsibility and not mine.
As a miscarriage of justice is
the
yours.
Case is closed, Mrs.
You cannot do this, Mr. Johnson. You cannot close the case on
The
an innocent
district
man.
attorney's mind is closed, Mrs. Smith. It's useless to argue any further with him.
We'll be back in just a minute.
This is a tale about a dog. Or a dog's tail. Dog's tail didn't wag because dog never had any bones to chew. His owners bought meat cut to size and wrapped in cellophane. So dog had bone hunger. One day, dog's ears popped up, and dog smelled something that made dog's eyes light up. And dog licked his chops, and dog ran to the kitchen, and dog leaped for joy at what he saw. It looked like a bone. It chewed like a bone. It had bone written right on it. Milk Bone. And not just one milk bone, but a whole box filled to the top with Milk Bone Dog Biscuits. Dog's nose told him that Milk Bone had meat and liver and milk and vegetable and bone meal and wheat germ and vitamins. And Dog's tummy told him Milk Bone was good. And Dog said, Milk Bone satisfies the bone hunger of your dog. The end.
Watch this scene from tomorrow's story.
Texas? Oh, you're kidding. You must be. Yesterday, Jackie had me all sold on Bermuda. You wanted to go, and I said I would. I finally told you I would go. And now you want to go to Texas. Oh, Jack, why don't you make up your mind?
Is there a woman in the world who doesn't love bargains? Well, I think hunting for good deals is just part of being a housewife. That's why it's so exciting to know that at your grocer's right now, there's a special bargain from Blue Bonnet margarine. Yes, it's true. Just buy a specially marked pound of Blue Bonnet and look inside, and you'll find this, a 10-cent coupon on the purchase of either the 6-ounce or 10-ounce jar of new Instant Chase and Sanborn with pure coffee nectar. And best of all, you'll be enjoying America's favorite margarine, Blue Bonnet. Blue Bonnet looks like, cooks like, and tastes like the high-price spread. You see, Blue Bonnet has a natural-tasting flavor that makes its way into everything you melt it on, spread it on, or cook it with. Love bargains? Then buy Blue Bonnet and get the coupon inside good for 10 cents off on either the 6-ounce or 10-ounce jar of Instant Chase and Sanborn coffee. Or better yet, why not pick up 2 pounds of Blue Bonnet next time you shop? Remember, everything's better with Blue Bonnet on it.
Tune in again tomorrow for The Edge of Night, created by Irving Vending. Today, The Edge of Night has been brought to you by Nabisco Wheat Honeys and Rice Honeys, the cereals flavored with natural honey, and by Nabisco Milk Bone Dog Biscuits. Join us each weekday afternoon for The Edge of Night. This is Harry Kramer speaking.